Hello. I don't know about you, but I am just so grateful and thankful to God for this opportunity to be able to go through some of these things that we need so much as parents. And I'm so thankful and grateful for the work of UCB that they do touch on things to do with parenting from time to time. So I'll go through and continue to share with you what the things that I pick that I know that will benefit you as well. So we're continuing. So another area that apparently it's parents find confusing is discipline versus punishment. So discipline versus punishment, and in this world, that troubled world that we're in, it's hard times, it's troubled. There's so much chaos in our world today. Raising kids is more challenging than ever. So I think these nuggets are really, really important for us to pick on some of them and keep them in our hearts, and also to impart into our children. So we're going to look at discipline versus punishment today. And there's a verse taken from Proverbs chapter 23, verse 13. It says, "Do not withhold discipline from a child. Do not withhold discipline from a child." It says, "Foolishness is bound up in the heart of a child. The rod of discipline would drive it far from him." Notice God's choice of words. It says the rod of discipline, not the rod of punishment. And I think it's interesting that that distinction is actually made. It says the rod of discipline and not the rod of punishment. Okay, so it says discipline and correction are about teaching and learning. So it's trying to show you what the difference between discipline and punishment is. It says discipline and correction are about teaching and learning. Punishment is about making a child suffer from their behavior. Punishment is making a child suffer for their behavior. And it says children need discipline. Children need discipline, not punishment. And it goes on to say that punishment is often delivered by a frustrated and angry parent. And so when you think that you're disciplining your child, in quote, when you're so frustrated and angry, that is not actually discipline. It becomes punishment, because you want your child to feel the pain for the behavior that it caused. You want the child to feel the pain for the fact that you yourself, you were angry and frustrated, for the fact that you have said one or two things more than often enough, and so you're punishing them for that behavior and the way you are feeling. That's what punishment does. So it says, do not withhold discipline from a child. Withholding discipline prepares them for a life of failure and suffering. Discipline is focused on improving behavior. It teaches right and wrong by giving consequences that directly relates to the child's choices. I like this bit. It says the discipline that you give, the consequences of right and wrong, should be directly related to what the child did. So it should be related to the child choices. And I know that for a lot of parents out there, as soon as your child does something wrong, or you go, "Give me your phone, give me your laptop, give me your tablet." Regardless of what they do, all we do is go and attack those things first. But we have to be mindful that because we know that those are the things that they love or enjoy to do, we just want to rip them off. We just want to attack those things. And sometimes it might not necessarily be a consequence directly related to the choice that the child made. So we have to be careful and make the differences. And I think I talked about this in another video about setting boundaries. A lot of boundaries that we have in place, your boundaries should be in such a way that the consequences are inherent in the boundaries. The consequences should be inherent in the boundaries, so that if the boundary is broken, then the consequences comes into play, because the consequences is most of the time inherent in the boundary. Okay, it may take the form of being grounded or suspending privileges, but it should always be for the child's benefit. It has to be for the child's benefit, not to inflict pain. So we have to take notice of that. And another area of confusion is love versus indulgence. Yeah, that's another place. Love versus indulgence. That's another thing that we confuse ourselves. And it says, our materialistic world confuses love with indulgence. Loving parents give without spoiling, withhold for the child's good, and motivate them by rewarding good behavior. Indulgent parents, on the other hand, give kids whatever they want, irrespective of behavior, thus failing to motivate them to be responsible. Spoiled kids develop a sense of entitlement. And before I go on to that, let me say something here. Because we live in a world that is so busy, we live in a world that everyone is so rushed for time, that parents seem to have any time at all that they tend to do is buy them gadgets, buy them things. And so instead of spending time with them, they buy them things, take this and take this and take this. And that's all that they think that by doing that, it's replacing them from spending time with them. And you know what? Your kids really don't want that. Your kids want your time with them. And so if you think that because you're not home, because you're not spending time with your kids, you will buy them whatever they ask or whatever you think they need or want, then you have to be mindful of these things, because you're not loving them. That is not love. That is indulgence. And that is you trying to protect the fact that you're feeling guilty. You are trying to pretend or to hide behind the fact that you're feeling guilty by giving them stuff. And there are many parents out there like that, and kids do not appreciate that, and they do not grow in any way. Okay, so let's continue. It says, spoiled kids develop a sense of entitlement and an expectation that others exist to please them. Indulgent parents are frequently guilty-driven and afraid that their kids won't like or love them. They mistake indulgence for love and breed children who demand, manipulate, and are never satisfied. Love requires taking time, talking, listening, understanding, laughing, sharing tough times, respecting and encouraging your kids with unconditional acceptance. And I think I'll go over this point again because it's so important. It says that loving parents, if you think you're loving and you're not doing any of these things, then I will challenge you to review again. Please, please, please. Love requires talking. It requires talking. Talking does not mean you talking at your child all the time. You got to listen to what they have to say as well. You have to allow them to also express themselves as well. So you see, it says talking, listening, understanding. And sometimes we have conflict with our children because we don't take the time to hear them out, to listen, so that we will know where they're coming from. It doesn't mean that what they're saying has to be the right thing or wrong. That's not the point. The point is when you actually give them the opportunity to express themselves and you take the time to listen, you will hear behind the words that they are saying, so that you begin to understand where they are coming from, where they are at that particular time. Even if it doesn't conform or it's to what you think is the right thing or what you think they should be doing, even if it is opposite, you giving them the time to explain themselves will enable you to understand where they are, their position, the reasoning behind what they're asking or what they're talking about. And then you will understand, so that that will enable you to be able to support them or guide them in the way that you're supposed to. But if you do not give them the opportunity to express themselves and yourself the opportunity to understand them, you have that conflict all the time, because they will not have the time to also listen to you as well, especially when your children are getting older. So please take note of this. It says, so understanding, and I like this, it says laughing. Enjoy your children, laugh with them. Laughing, sharing tough times. When things are difficult, share them with them. Let them know what you're going through, and let them trust that, after all, you're also a human being, that you have feelings too as a parent. Your children think you're some things that you don't show emotion. Then because you don't show emotion, it's hard for them to relate to you. It's okay to show emotion and tell them how they're feeling, how you're feeling. It doesn't necessarily mean that makes you a weak parent or a weak person. No. So it says laughing with them, sharing tough times, respecting. That's another thing. Respecting and encouraging your kids with unconditional acceptance. And it's unconditional love, unconditional acceptance, regardless of what they have done, what they haven't done. You accepting them as your children. Okay, I think I've spoken enough, and I hope that it's clear and I've communicated. The contact details should be on your screen, so please reach out And if there's anything, any support that you require, and we'll help you. Always remember, love is patient, love is kind.